Good evening and welcome to another chilling story on our channel. Today we'll dive into a real tale that blends horror and suspense. A story that took place in the Brazilian countryside, in a quiet little village, and changed the lives of all those who witnessed it. Get ready to hear the chilling account of the Last Vigil at the House of Amparo. In 1985, in the city of Amparo, São Paulo, there was a house known for its beauty, but also for its mystery. It was an old building, dating back to the 19th century, which had belonged to one of the most important families in the town, the Montenegros. With large, solid wooden windows, wide verandas, and an always well-kept garden, the House of Amparo seemed charming to those who observed it from a distance. However, those who stepped through its doors were struck by an inexplicable sense of unease. The house's reputation began to grow after the death of Dona Helena Montenegro, the last direct heir of the family. She was a woman of strong character, known for being reclusive and authoritarian, but also charitable. After her unexpected death at the age of 62, the house was locked up, remaining that way for almost 20 years. The problems began when the house was bought by a family from the countryside, the Rees, who were looking for a peaceful place to live, far from the hustle and bustle of big cities. They renovated the property, never imagining the horrors they were about to experience. Marcos and his wife Ana moved into the House of Amparo with their two daughters, Clara, aged 12, and Julia, 8. For the first few months, everything seemed normal, but small signs began to appear. Footsteps echoed down the halls at night, doors would close on their own, and Clara, the eldest daughter, claimed she felt a presence in her room. At first, the parents thought it was just the imagination of a child, fueled by fear of the unknown. However, things began to escalate. One night, Ana woke up in the middle of the night with the feeling that she was being watched. When she opened her eyes, she saw a figure standing beside the bed. It was an elderly woman, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, staring directly at her. Terror gripped Ana and she jumped out of bed, but the woman vanished instantly. Marcos, startled by his wife's scream, tried to calm her down, but he knew something was wrong. After this incident, the children's behavior began to change. Clara, once outgoing and playful, became withdrawn and hostile. She spent hours locked in her room, drawing strange figures. A woman with no face, dark shadows surrounding the house, and disconnected words that seemed to belong to an ancient language. Julia, on the other hand, started having nightmares every night, waking up crying, saying that the woman was coming. The parents decided to investigate the house's history. Talking to older neighbors, they discovered that Dona Helena Montenegro had a dark reputation. Legend had it that after her parents' deaths, she began performing strange rituals in the house, trying to contact the world of the dead. Many believed she had kept her mother's spirit trapped in the residence, refusing to let her move on. Stories said that Helena frequently heard her mother's voice calling her. In her last years of life, Helena was often found wandering the house's halls at night, talking to herself as if in deep conversation with someone invisible. After hearing these accounts, the Rees family grew apprehensive but were reluctant to believe in superstitions. However, one night, things reached a breaking point. Clara, who was no longer herself, was found in the house's basement, in a catatonic state. She was sitting on the floor, surrounded by lit candles, murmuring incomprehensible words. When Marcos picked her up to take her to the hospital, the girl looked directly into his eyes and with a voice that wasn't hers said, "She's here. And she's not leaving." That was the final straw for the family. They decided to stay in a hotel while planning to sell the house. However, even away, the nightmares continued. Everyone, except Julia, began dreaming of the old woman who chased them through the house. Desperate, the Rees sought spiritual help. A local priest, known for dealing with supernatural situations, agreed to visit the house. Upon entering, he immediately felt the spiritual weight of the place. The air was heavy, and he described the feeling as if he was being suffocated by an invisible presence. During the exorcism prayer, strange noises echoed through the halls. Doors slammed violently as if they were being thrown against their frames. The windows shook, and the sound of heavy footsteps came from the upper floor. Marcos and Ana, who were waiting outside, felt an inexplicable cold spreading through the house. The priest continued praying, and at one point, Clara, who was present, began to cry. She said she felt an invisible hand tightening around her neck. At that moment, one of the candles lit beside the priest went out by itself, and the figure of the elderly woman appeared again in the hallway, watching the scene. After hours of prayer and spiritual struggle, the presence began to weaken. The priest felt that the entity wasn't just a spirit, but something much older and more malevolent. With a final effort, he commanded the presence to leave the house, and the atmosphere grew silent. However, he warned the family that the house was marked, and the best thing to do would be to abandon it for good. The Reese family left the House of Amparo that very night, taking only their essential belongings. The property was sold to a businessman who planned to turn it into a guest house, but to this day, no guest can spend more than one night there without reporting strange feelings of anguish and fear. They say that if you walk through the empty halls, you can still hear Dona Helena's footsteps, wandering through her old home, eternally bound to that place. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Until the next chilling tale. The end.